Hi everyone, and welcome to the very first lesson of the Human Resources Management in Healthcare course. Okay, I know it's a long title, but this is a very important course. We're going to go through many human resource concepts throughout the duration of this course, and a lot of it, we're going to look at it through a perspective of healthcare management. However, a lot of what we're going to be learning is just straight up human resources. Okay, so it's going to get really cool. In this chapter or this lesson, we're going to go through what strategic HR management is. We're going to look at some HR best practices. We're going to figure out what an HR brand is. Okay, and that's going to be a lot of fun. And let's just dive right in. Okay, so what is strategic human resource management? So by definition, it's the comprehensive set of managerial activities and tasks that are related to developing and maintaining a qualified workforce needed to achieve organizational effectiveness. Okay, so a strategic human resource management or a human resource management strategy should definitely link up with the business strategies, okay, the strategy of the business, okay, because they need to go in direct alignment. And we're going to see that throughout this whole course exactly why that is. So why should a human resource management strategy be in direct alignment with a business strategy? Okay. So let's start looking at what human resource management actually does. Okay, or let's break it down to the most basic fundamental part. Human resource management is really just everything having to do with managing your human resources. Okay, every business has resources in order to conduct their business, right? All right. For example, my business requires a computer. This is a resource for my business, one of my resources. Also products, and desks and things like that. And, other supplies that you require to create your products or whatever you're doing for your business, right? Well, humans are also a resource. And the thing is, humans, you cannot possess a human, you cannot, or anything like that, right? We're humans. We can't do that. So when humans are your resource, as with almost any business out there, you have to be able to manage your humans, okay? Manage those people that you have employed to work in your business and figure out exactly how you can, manage them and guide them and help them help your business grow, okay? Help them enhance your organizational performance and your organizational outputs, your product outputs, or, whatever your business is doing, okay? So strategic human resource management is managing the people that are in your business, that you have employed in your business, in a way that enhances your organizational performance. So in a way, if it works in direct alignment with the business strategies, then the business strategies and the human resource strategies can grow together. Okay? Strategic human resource management should almost be part of your business strategy, because your business strategy will have goals, it'll have things that the business needs to achieve, and your human resource strategy is going to focus on using the people, the employees that you have in your organization to close all those gaps that you have, okay, and allow your organization to start achieving what it needs to achieve, okay? So Anyway, moving forward, one thing that we all need to understand is that all healthcare executives and all line managers, they're all involved in human resources. If you manage people, you are human resource personnel. Okay, you are a human resource manager, a human resource executive. You're involved in HR planning. You handle a lot of the HR stuff. And what's actually happening right now is we're seeing kind of the human resource department in a lot of organizations slowly die off. Okay, they're becoming almost extinct now. Okay, and what we're seeing happen is a lot of these organizations now, okay, will have organizations, right? And they're not going to have their own HR department. What they're going to do is they're going to outsource their human resource activities to one major human resource company that's going to handle a lot of their human resource needs. Okay, so usually when that happens, we're outsourcing a lot of the human resource activities that have to do with like legal, like policies and whatnot. Okay, how do we regulate such and such? When this is going on, how do we file this? How do we do that? Dealing with a lot of the paperwork and things like that. Your line managers, the HR work that they're going to start doing is the work that deals directly with your employees. Okay, so that will be, and many times that's the recruiting and selection and even retention strategies. Okay, many times that is what your line managers are going to be directly dealing with. And those are all human resource strategies, human resource tasks and duties, right? Your healthcare executives or your executive levels who are also considered human resource executives or human resource managers, they're going to be the ones who kind of figure out strategies in which we can, use the employees that we have to better direct them to achieving our organizational goals. Okay, and so those healthcare executives or those human resource managers up there are going to pass down that information to the line managers, right? And then they're going to be the ones who take that information and spit it out in such a way where they're helping to actually direct the employees hands-on and help move them in the direction of achieving their organizational goals. Okay, so in human anyways, let's move on. Okay, so why is strategic human resource management so important? Okay, some of the main strategies or the main strategy components that have to do with strategic human resource management are going to be employee recruitment, selection, retention, training, performance appraisals or performance like evaluations and things like that, and then also compensation. So these are all huge components that you're going to have to deal with and you're going to have to form in your human resource strategies, okay, for your organization. And that's should be directly in alignment with your business strategies so that you can take your business to the next level or have your business achieve its organizational goals and become more competitive in their market. Okay, so having human resources with the right skills at the right time doesn't happen by accident. Okay, this was planned, this was strategized by the organization, by the executives, and then the line managers carrying it out and whatnot. Okay, so a huge part of strategic human resource management is going out there and finding the right employees for your organization, and that's a lot of work. Okay, employee recruitment, that is where you go out and you try to put out job postings and things like that and try to recruit applicants to apply for a certain position in your organization. Then the whole selection process happens where you have to kind of sift through the people who have applied and figure out who is a really great fit for your organization and who's going to really help your organization achieve its goals. And then retention is where we find strategies to try to keep your employees, especially your high-performing employees, the ones you can't really afford to lose, right? The ones who actually are performing high and who are achieving things for your organization. Okay, and then we have, and then we need to focus on training. How can we use the great high-performing employees that we do have and try to develop their skills, help them get even better, make them even better so that they'll be able to perform even better for your organization. Then we need to be able to evaluate their performances throughout the whole organization. All your employees, we need to be able to evaluate how well they are working in your organization. Are they able to achieve the certain goals that you have set out for them for that whole year or that 6-month period or whatever, you're talking, whatever, time frame that you're talking about. And, how close did they come? Did they meet expectations? Did they not meet expectations? Where do they stand? Do they need extra training? Do they need more help? Do they need any kind of accommodations? What can we do to get them to where they need to be? Or do we just need to let them go? Are they just not a great fit and they're kind of holding the organization back, right? And then compensation is so important, and this can't be stressed enough. This really helps an organization be able to attract, high-performing employees to even apply, and it helps retain your great employees. It helps incentivize employees to perform well in the organization, to develop their skills and to get even better. Okay, so very important there. Let's move on. Okay, so some benefits of strategic human resource management. Okay, so as a result, if you apply strategic human resource management, if you have a strategy for your human resource management, okay, you're going to notice that eventually, as you follow through with all these tactics, you're going to see a major improvement in your clinical outcomes. Well, this is looking at it through a healthcare management lens right now. Okay, we're going to see improvement in our clinical outcomes, meaning if we practice, an amazing HR strategy with our clinicians, our physicians, our technicians, our nurses, and whatnot, we're going to see a major improvement in clinical outcomes. And what that's going to do is improve patient safety and the quality of care that we give, and then more people are going to want to come to our facility and receive our care, so we're going to make more money there. You're going to see an enhanced service quality, of course, like what I mentioned, you're providing much better quality to your patients now, okay? And then when you do that and you make more money, you increase your market share, okay? And you're going to improve your financial returns. So, some of the major HR practices that we're going to be looking at and that really make up the whole HR management concept are HR planning and job analysis, staffing, training, organizational development, performance management and compensation, and of course employee rights. Now I know when you guys think of HR practices, you're probably thinking more of employee rights and the legal aspect of it, and how are we in compliance with all the different employment laws out there, right? I mean, that's probably what you're thinking, and that's what HR is clearly all about, but not necessarily. That is a small portion. That's just one part of how HR is, or what HR is all about. Because a huge part of which HR is all about is filling in those gaps in the business strategy and trying to take the business to the next level guiding the employees that you have and trying to recruit the employees, you know, that are going to help fill in those gaps and take the organization to the next level, and making sure they have enough training, making sure that they're doing well, that they're achieving goals, meeting expectations, and that everyone is being paid well, or, you know, paid for the value that they do provide to the organization. Okay, so some examples here for HR planning and job analysis. We can encourage employees to buy into the organization, and use self-managed teams. So we can encourage employees to just have more autonomy in the work that they do. Okay. For staffing, you know, as an HR practice, this is all about selecting the right employees. Okay, so being able to put the right job postings out there, or going through whatever channel you need to go to recruit to recruit applicants to apply for certain positions. But then we need to be able to staff or to select the right people that fit the organization and who are going to fill in the gaps and take our organization to the next level to help achieve our goals for our business strategy. Then training. Training can be thought of as like an investment into the individual and to the employee. Okay, because anytime you train an employee, whether it's like a new employee training session, or it's, you know, continuing training for your employees so that they can, you know, further develop their skills, you're investing in their abilities, you're investing in that employee. Okay, so that is of course going to cost money, but that is an investment. You're hoping to receive a return on the investment, you know, as time moves on and that employee becomes more integrated into the organization and starts, you know, performing and starts meeting expectations, and you start seeing that output. Performance management and compensation is so important, especially if you're trying to attract or hold on to your high performing employees, right? And this has a lot to do with like your HR brand, which we're going to get into. Okay, so offering high compensation and maybe an amazing benefits package to your employees is going to really attract high performing employees to want to work for you. Okay, and if you don't, then you're going to probably experience high turnover. People are going to work for you for the time being just so they can, you know, have a job and have some money, but then they're definitely going to try to leave the second that they get a better offer. Okay, employee rates are super important because you don't want to get in trouble. Okay, aside from the fact that you definitely do not want to overstep boundaries and you don't want to abuse your employees, you don't want to hurt them, you don't want anything bad to happen to them, because of course not only are they human beings and that's unethical, but it's also going to hurt your organization. Okay, so anyway, let's move on. What is the strategic human resource management model? Okay, so this is a generic strategic human resource management model that any organization can just use and sort of just put their pieces in all the different steps. Okay, so first of all, we have assess the organization's environment and mission. So at this point, you want to just survey your whole organization, figure out where you guys are. This is where you do your SWOT analysis. You figure out exactly what are your strengths, your weaknesses, your threats and whatnot within the organization and without the organization. Okay, so you're just gonna kind of see exactly what it all, where you guys are, what's the status at this point, okay, and the whole environment. And then what is your actual mission as an organization? What are you guys really trying to accomplish? What is the big picture? Okay, so compare where you are to your big picture and then come up with some sort of business strategy. Okay, how can you take where you are now to where you want to be, to the big picture? Okay, so come up with the strategy to get you there. Then you're going to identify some HR requirements that some HR stuff that you have to do to even implement this business strategy. So what does that mean? Maybe it means you're going to have to hire new employees to fill in the certain gaps in your business so that they will be able to take you to another level. Okay, so it might mean you have to get more employees. It might mean you have to let certain employees go. It might mean you have to restructure some of the different positions that you have in your organization. Okay, and so next you're going to compare the current HR inventory to the future strategic requirements in terms of numbers and required skills. So what does that even mean? That means that you're going to look at exactly what you already have in terms of your employees and the skills that everyone brings to the table. Just see what you already have, okay? Because you might have everything that you already need to carry out your business strategy, but you might not. Okay, so see what you have and then figure out exactly what HR needs to do. So formulate some sort of HR, figure out your strategic requirements for the future in order to fill out those HR gaps, right? Then in this next step, you're going to develop an HR strategy that's going to close those gaps. Come up with an HR strategy that's going to close the gaps in the skill, like let's say you need certain skills that you don't actually have in your organization. Well, now you're going to have to go hire someone who has it, or maybe you just need training. Maybe you just need to pay for some training for the employees that you do have, and that way you don't have to hire anyone else. Or maybe you do need to hire someone else. It depends on what you're trying to do and when you are, what your HR inventory actually is. But you're going to develop an HR strategy that's going to help you get to where you need to be. Okay? Then you want to implement the appropriate HR practices to reinforce your business strategy. So after you've figured all that out, basically you figure out what needs to be done, then you go out and do it. Okay, HR brands. This will be fun. Okay, so what is an HR brand? By definition, the HR brand refers to the organization's image or culture from the perspective of the general public or potential customers or employees. The brand reflects the organization's corporate image and culture, purpose, type of people hired, and recognized and awarded results. So an HR brand, that is how the public sees how you're treating, your organization treats your employees. Okay, it's like how the public goes, what would it be like to work for that organization? So what the people think it would be like to work for that organization. Okay, what are the general attitudes that we have about the people who work for Walmart? Okay, isn't it kind of common culture now that we think that they have a terrible HR brand? They probably don't respect their employees. They don't pay them well. They don't, they don't give them enough time off. They don't. And I personally, I have my own story about how Walmart has treated employees terribly in the past, because my brother actually worked there for about a month. So he kind of has that experience about how, how almost impossible it is to hold a job there. And if you do, that's when you get to the sweet spot and you get to keep your job, but you still don't get paid very well. So HR brands, super important. That's what the general public thinks it's like to work for your organization. So if you have an amazing HR brand and everyone out there in the world and the public thinks that it's, it would be a great experience to work for your organization, then that means you have a great HR brand and you're going to attract the best employees, right? You're going to attract high-performing employees. Every time you put out a job posting about some, open position that you have in your organization, you're going to get a ton of applicants begging to work for you. Okay, and you'll be able to sift through that and pick the best of the best. Okay, versus when you have a terrible HR brand and you put out a job posting for a certain position, you might not get, very many great employees to choose from. Maybe from your whole applicant pool, they might not be that great. So you're going to get very average or below average performing employees to work with, and you're just going to pick through one of those. Also, when you have a terrible HR brand, your turnover is usually quite high. Okay, what does that mean? What is turnover? Turnover is when people come into the organization and leave the organization. Okay, so new employees are hired and then they just leave. Okay, they quit quite fast. So if you have a high turnover in an organization, high turnover rate, that means you have a lot of employees just quitting their jobs from your business all the time. A lot of people just leaving, and it's very normal for your organization. People will work there for a short while and then they leave. Okay, that would be high turnover. Organizations, I know Walmart has high turnover. Amazon also. I don't know about like the higher ranks, higher levels, more like managerial positions and whatnot. But if you're just, just a warehouse worker with Amazon, they have very high turnover. That's why they're always hiring, okay? Because they always have people leaving because the job is, too difficult. You're always standing on your feet. You're exhausted every single day, and they don't pay enough for that. Okay, for the value that you're providing and what you're giving to the organization. Okay, so they have high turnovers. Walmart has high turnover rates because they just don't have that great of an HR brand. An example of a really good HR brand would be like Google. Okay, don't we all know that Google, or we expect Google to, have the best of the best? Especially since that one movie came out, The Internship or The Interns or something like that. I forgot exactly what the movie was called, but it was with Owen Wilson and Vince Vaughn, and they were both interns for this program at Google where eventually they choose one of those, like a group of people from that internship program, and then they get to actually be employees of the organization or something like that. But as they were going throughout the movie, they showed a lot of the benefits and perks of working for Google, and a lot of the stability and a lot of the help and everything that Google will provide for their employees. So just because of that, they have very low turnover. They rarely, you don't see very many Google positions out there like on Indeed and whatnot, do you? I don't. And I think that's because they have very low turnover. Once you have a job with Google, a lot of people don't want to leave, okay, because it's good. They treat their employees well. It's a very comforting environment. It's a supportive environment. It's very positive. They're paid well and all that. Okay, so moving on. So who even performs these HR tasks, right? Because I said that aren't really all managers and executives considered HR, right? HR personnel? Yes, they are. But we have line managers pretty much doing a lot of the HR functions. Okay, functions like usually it's about like hiring, firing, managerial, like performance appraisals. We see them doing training, and a lot of these HR tasks are assigned to the line managers. They do a lot of the HR functions. Okay, and then we have the HR executives who are out there really coming up with like the HR strategies and things like that. Okay, so many HR departments out there are becoming like extinct. We have HR companies, and what we're doing now is a lot of the HR functions, usually having to do with like the policy making and abiding by certain rules and a lot of the paperwork and stuff like that, they will be outsourcing a lot of that to HR companies. Okay, so a lot of these HR companies will take over a good portion of the HR tasks, and then all those HR functions that have to do with working directly with an employee, most of those are being handled by the line managers. Okay, and then coming up with the HR strategies and things like that, those are handled by the HR executives. Okay, so we don't necessarily have, I mean, we still do, but in many organizations, you know, we're kind of doing away with having an in-house HR department. Okay. All right, now that is the end of the first lesson. So if anyone has any questions, please go ahead and leave a comment, or you can also shoot me an email. Moving forward, it would be great if you guys could just ponder on these questions right here. Okay, think about them, and this will kind of help you get the juices flowing for the rest of the quarter, for the rest of the lessons that we're going to have.